Hello everyone, and welcome to the Config and Tech video for the Journeyman Project 1 Pegasus Prime. Let me get my notes open in my folder. In this video, we will be setting up the Journeyman Project 1 Pegasus Prime, general settings and advanced where needed. This will hopefully put the game in the best playable state it can be. Any links that are covered will be in the description of the video. So the first thing I want to go over here, important, I do ask that you watch my original 20-minute video showing how to set up ScumVM's base settings. You will need to do this before you set up an individual game. The link to this video will be in the description of this video. This video will show how to set up just the Journeyman Project 1 Pegasus Prime game specific settings. So yeah, this link here will be in the description. Game data. You will need either the Steam version or the GOG.com version, Good Old Games. I will be using the Good Old Games version of the game. Just install the Journeyman Project 1 Pegasus Prime like normal. Worth mentioning here, this is the install directory for me. Like I said, this is the GOG version, so I don't know what the file structure of the Steam version will look like. It could vary. I've added this here. This is just a shortcut to the ScumVM program that we're going to talk about here momentarily. You should have the Pegasus Prime executable in a couple of folders. They probably are the same. And you'll have probably a slew of other files too. I've hidden them just so they're not a distraction for me or you, the viewer, watching this video. So that's why things may look different than what you have when you install it. And as far as the ScumVM program, we're going to cover that now. So this link here is to the main site, and I'm using version 2.8.0 of ScumVM. ScumVM is not an emulator. It is more of a front end for loading the game properly in a modern PC environment. You will need this software to play this game. ScumVM is considered the replacement for using DOSBox. It is lightweight and easy to use software once it is set up properly. So please download and install ScumVM from the link in the description of this video. On the main page, click the Downloads link in the main menu on the right. Also check out the compatibility link in the documentation menu on the right to learn about other games that can be played through ScumVM. Once you have the game files and ScumVM installed, go ahead and run ScumVM, and I will run the software too. I'll show you how to set up the Journeyman Project 1 Pegasus Prime. First, let me show you the website here. So you'll be taken to scumvm.org when you click my my tiny URL link. And basically you'll just come over to downloads here, and you'll look for the latest version here. This is a Windows 32-bit and 64-bit installer, so this is what you would click. It's only 118 meg executable. So download that, and then the compatibility is here under documentation. So you can click compatibility, and they have it sorted by game engine, I believe. Like here's the Sierra Games. If you know the game, you can just type it in. So Control F and then type in Journeyman. And there you go. Brings you down to Presto Studios game compatibility chart. So Myst 3 can be played through ScumVM, as well as Journeyman Project 1 and Journeyman Project 2. I don't know about Journeyman Project 3. I'm guessing at this time gives you the level support too, so Pegasus Prime is good and Buried in Time is excellent. But Journeyman Project 3 is not listed, so I don't know. Maybe that game can be just ran normally from its executable and play fine. Or it may have issues and ScumVM just doesn't support it yet, but it doesn't mean they won't in the future. Okay. So now I'm going to show you the Journeyman Project 1 Pegasus Prime ScumVM setup. So now you'll need to, with this method, you'll never need to run the game from the Pegasus Prime.executable, but you still need it because ScumVM still needs to use it to make the game work. You're always going to want to run and play the game from the ScumVM program. So once the game is installed and ScumVM is installed, go ahead and run ScumVM. Actually, I already had it open, so let me close that. I have it open down here. And you'll be presented with something like this. I already have a bunch of games populated in my list that I've added. I did say I wasn't going to cover any of the global ScumVM settings, but I am going to touch upon one thing that's prevalent to the game and any other game that you're going to play. I don't think I've made it clear in my previous ScumVM config and tech videos for previous games that I've done so far for Space Quest 1 and King's Quest 1. So I'll cover that here. Go to your global options. As I said in the previous video I've made where I gave you the link to, it covers how to set up all of this stuff here, which you should do. And if you don't do what I tell you to do, then do it yourself. But come in here for this game and go into keybinds, and then look for this particular option here, Global Main Menu. Make sure you have a keybind assigned to that. I've changed it to my page up key. But make a keybind for this and keep a note in your head that you're going to be using that key for Global Main Menu, and just apply and click OK. And now what you need to do is you would click Add Game, and you need to go to the directory of where the Journeyman project is installed, and you can see here it's on D My Games Journeyman Project 1 Pegasus Prime. But if you just use the main directory, like here, docs, pp data, you can see here, that's where we're at right here, same folder. And if you say, okay, choose this directory, ScumVM is going to say, ScumVM could not find any game in this specified directory. And you're like, oh no, it's not going to work. What you actually have to do is you need to go into the pp data folder. We can look at that here briefly. I'm guessing that ScumVM needs to see this Journeyman project Pegasus Prime resource.bin file, and that's what enables ScumVM to load everything in. I guess it's looking for that file, which just so happens that it's not in the root directory. So make sure you pick pp data and then click choose, and then it will pop up and say, okay, you have an option to set up the DVD version of the Mac English version, the Windows English version, or the Linux English version. So pick your version, but I'm going to be using the Windows version. So then you would choose that, and then you'll be presented with this screen. I'm going to cancel out of this screen because I've already created it. So then I will just go to Game Options, and it will bring me to the same thing, Configured Now. So in here, whatever this says is fine, leave it alone. This is just specifying whether you're using the Windows, the Mac, or the Linux version. In here, you can name this to whatever you want, so it'll be alphabetical in your list. So it's okay to change this, and I did change it, because I think it might have said something like the Journeyman project, and I didn't want it to have the in front of it. So you can name that whatever. Leave English and all of these alone like they are, whatever it says. Only mess with the name. Then go to graphics. Check this box so you can override settings. And then in graphics mode, go ahead and pick OpenGL. Leave everything else on the default. Make sure aspect ratio correction is checked. That way you'll make sure that the aspect ratio is correct and that it looks right on the screen. Nothing is stretched or disproportionate. Go ahead and check the full screen mode so the game will play in full screen. I do not recommend using filtered graphics. It tries to soften the game's textures to make them look a little less pixelated and to round out edges, but in the process it ends up muddying up the graphics and blurring the graphics. So I advise you to uncheck this so you have clean, sharp graphics. Go ahead and leave VSync checked so that you are matching the frame rate of your screen and you don't have to deal with any screen tearing. Leave your game 3D render and 3D anti-aliasing on default. So mainly you just need to check the overall override graphics. Click OpenGL, make sure these three boxes are checked. Then go to key maps. This is where you will change what the keys do in the game. I'm going to be playing this game with mouse and keyboard. I advise you to do the same. This is how you'll change your keybinds for the game. And I'll show you real quick. This relates back to the global options where I told you to change the global keybind for global main menu. When you are in the game playing and you press that keybind, it will bring you into the screen in the game without having to exit the game and come back to ScumVM to make keybind changes. That's why I made you make that keybind. So you can make the changes here, but then you can also do it within the game. Just press your keybind once you're in the game and you'll be presented with a similar screen. So you can see what the keys are. Up, down, left, and right movement. You don't strafe in this game, you turn completely to the sides. And then you can zoom in or out with up or down, move forward, and go through doors that are open. So that's what the keys do. And I've assigned those to my up and down, left and right arrow keys. You can put those on W, A, S, and D if you'd like. Then you have an action and select keybind, a display and hide inventory, a display and hide biochip, a toggle center data, a display and hide info screen, a display and hide pause menu, a toggle chatty AI, and then by default there's a keybind in here for E, which you can make anything, but it just says question marks, so I have no idea what that actually does in the game. It quite possibly does nothing. And then you can save your game and load your game at any time when you play, and you can have keybinds for that. So I'll cover what the keys do in the first gameplay part 1 video, but I'll show them here to you. So my key bindings don't matter, just make sure that you specify the keys you want to use based on their actions. Then we'll go to the audio tab. Check the override global audio settings for the only reason to put text and speech on both, because I think it's defaulted only on speech. This game doesn't have subtitles, it does have speech, but if it were to have subtitles, overriding and picking this, then you would get both choices. If not, by default, you're only going to get speech. So it doesn't really matter, but go ahead and do it. And then in volume, override the volume controls and just max these sliders all out so that you get full volume from within ScumVM for the game. And then under MIDI, just leave it alone. You don't have to mess with that. We're not using MIDI. And the same thing with the MT Roland 32 synthesizer. We're not using that in the game. Everything will play and sound as it should without messing with any of these settings. And then paths will just show where save games go, extra path, which I'm not positive, and the game path, where it's looking for the game data, which, as we already discussed, wherever you've installed your game. Mine just happens to be on my D drive and my games, Journeyman Project 1, Pegasus Prime. But ScumVM needs to see the PP data folder to get the information it needs. And the save data path is just normal. So that is all the tabs for the game setup here that you need to worry about. Nothing too complicated. And you'll see it here in your list as well as anything else that you add in the future. If you click start or just double click here, it will automatically start the game. Load takes you into any load you've had. This is just my test game for setting it up. And as you can see, you've got like unlimited save slots all the way up to 999. And the game also, ScumMV, I also have it configured to make an autosave like every 5 minutes or something. And if you double click on these, it will automatically start your game. So this is also the screen you will be taken into when you use your save game and load game keybinds. It will take you to the screen within the game. So yeah, if you've already got a save going, there's no point in double clicking or starting the game. Just go into load and double click your save, and then bam, you'll be right into your game, and you don't have to go through the loading process of the game in the menu. Add games, game option for the one you're selected on, remove a game that's selected, global options. I will bring this up and let you just look at it. These are my global settings for ScumVM. You can just reference quickly what I have things set to be. But I do advise you to watch my 20-minute video that I linked. Some things I don't need to override in individual game situations, but I do just to make sure the settings are being applied to the game. These are just the extra settings. This is the residual VM modern theme that's giving me the bluish green color. You can change your themes. So yeah, autosave every 5 minutes. You can change that to 10, 15, 30 minutes, whatever. I'd say leave it on 5. Have the ScumVM check for weekly updates. Checks when you start it. This is where you would go to manually check. Okay. And then about just gives you information that you can use your mouse scroll wheel to scroll through and look at the credits and then quit. And then this down here will also let you switch between a larger view for your graphics if you would prefer to see the game. The ScumVM automatically pulls thumbnails for games you set up. So here's a Pegasus Prime. So if you want to see it that way, and if you want to adjust how many per row that you see, I just prefer to see the list view. And then up here at the top, it will tell you the date and the current version of ScumVM. Alright, so that concludes this little segment here on setting up the Journeyman Project 1 Pegasus Prime. So we'll go ahead and close this. Get our folder back up. Alright, so with ScumVM and your game set up now, you should be able to play it just fine. You should go to this folder, ScumVM configuration files folder, You'll need to put in your username here because yours will be different from mine. So whatever your username is, replace that here. App data roaming scumvm. I advise you to back up this folder as it contains scumvm and game list configurations. This way you won't lose everything you have set up collectively in scumvm, those settings we were just configuring. This will back those up, so if anything happens, if you got to format your hard drive, if you reinstall scumvm fresh on a new computer, then you can just drag and drop what you back up here in this directory, and it should have all your stuff configured and back in the list. So please do that. Okay, now I want to discuss a known game crash. And there's a posting here regarding it, scumvm post forum, that I will link in the description of this video. I was test recording and trying things out and stumbled upon a hard game crash. In the game GUI, there is a button called the Environ Scan or Environment Scan. When pressed, an AI tells you information regarding your surroundings. When you use this Environ Scan button in the first room that you start in, a little video plays out, and once it is completed, scumvm will display a console window indicating the crash error. The error shows as could not find data for frame 193. You are told to type in the word exit, and after doing so, the game crashes to your desktop, closing the game. There are two methods to avoid this crash in the game. Number one, don't press the Environ Scan button so the video doesn't play. Number two, let the video play, but right before it ends, press the escape key or left mouse click to stop it. I'm not sure at this time if this is the only occurrence of this game crash, as the Environ Scan button can be used throughout the game in different rooms, different areas. Hopefully the other times I use the Environ Scan button in our playthrough, it doesn't cause problems. If it does, then we'll handle those situations the same way as already mentioned. In my search for fixes, I found that this issue has recently already been reported by another person. A developer from scumvm named Petorian has already confirmed this issue on their end. He has said he will be pushing a fix for this into a future update of scumvm. I think he said 2. What version are we using? I think he said in version 2.8.1 there should be a fix put in so that it will not do this in the game in the future. It is worth mentioning that older versions of scumvm don't contain this game crash. I would highly recommend to you, though, that you do not use an older version of scumvm. It is always better to use the most current version, if at all possible, because you stand to gain a lot more improvements and stability overall in newer versions, considering as well that this game crash is minor and avoidable. Please reference a link to the forum post by Nozomi talking to Petorian about this for more information. You'll probably see a post from me on there confirming this crash. The link will be in the video description. In-game options. All of the game's options are mostly configured through scumvm. Anything that we haven't covered yet we'll go over when we start the first gameplay part 1 video. Manual.pdf. Please reference the game manual directly if you would like more details on game information. I'll link into the description to the PDF on my Google Drive, the physical file. So this link will take you to there. The game, at least the GOG version that I installed, probably the Steam version, also contains the PDF itself in the install folder. So you can get it there in your own files, or you can access it through a link I've provided. Here's the crash post forum about the post I was talking about for that Environ scan button. And yeah, here's me on ScumVM's forums. I'm called Adore33. I have my picture of Kyle Hyde from Hotel Desk, room 215. So this is me just confirming that it's still doing it and how I fixed it, and just thanking them for looking into it. So yeah, this dude, Praetorian's a legend. He's a ScumVM developer. He's got 781 posts on here. Apparently he's from Greece. It's pretty cool. The original poster. So yeah, this is just what that looks like, and this is what the PDF looks like when you're linked to my Google Drive, and what it would look like if you opened it through your own install files in the install directory. I'll just slowly scroll through this here. But I recommend that you look at this just for more information, about things. I pulled some of my information from here. This TSA overview talks about the machine, the suit, and the disk. And these are prevalent in the game, which I won't go over yet. But I copied these into my notes, and when we get to the machine, the suit, and the disk, I will actually read these to you myself while we're playing the game as a little background information. Just as something fun to do. Here's your dude that you play. Gage Blackwood, I believe is his name. This just explains the interface. I'll go over all this myself, but this information is all in the manual as well. For some reason, my character, the actor who plays our character, he reminds me of John Romero from id Software, one of the creators of the game Doom. He just reminds me of him, something about his face, I don't know. So when I play this game, I always think of John Romero. So here's the game controls and what they do, which these don't matter, and what you see in the game won't matter, because you will be changing those yourself through ScumVM. ScumVM takes priority and control over the keybinds of the game, whereas if you're playing the game normally, say without ScumVM, you would press the F8 key on your keyboard, and that would take you into a screen to let you change your keybinds. But since we're using ScumVM to play the game so that it hopefully plays, as smoothly as it can, you need to use that keybind you set up in ScumVM to change your keybinds. So just ignore these keys and ignore the fact that the game tells you to press F8 to change your keys. Shows you what your hand cursor looks like. I'll cover all this in detail. The game does have a scoring system. You can get up to 500 scored points in the game. It says you will receive a score based on your performance. Factors include the amount of evidence you gather, the number of puzzles you solve, how much investigating you do, and whether or not you finished the game. There is also a bonus for not resorting to violent measures during potentially adversarial confrontations. 500 points is a perfect score. There's a bunch of death scenes and everything. It's kind of reminiscent of the Sierra games, Space Quest, King's Quest, where you would get, game over death scenes, not animated, just a still image. So very reminiscent of that. And then here's a listing. You can see here where I talked about Jose, the lead 3D modeler. And I also saw, looking in these notes here, that it says under additional talent, Jose also actually played one of the NORAD security officers. So I don't think it's his physical likeness. I think he probably just voice acted one of them, I believe. Okay, so back to this. So yeah, you should have the PDF in your own folder, but I will provide a link to it so you can grab it. Okay, so thank you for watching this Config and Tech video. I hope you enjoy the classic Presto Studios game, the Journeyman Project 1, Pegasus Prime. And the next video we'll be getting into the gameplay. So thanks for watching, and thanks for listening, and I will see you in that next video. Bye.